Hi, I'm not Joseph. And that
I'm not
is
Diana.
not Diana. So you're looking at your screen and thinking, what is going on? Well, let's explain. I'm Benjamin. This is Max. And we are the team that produces Not on Record. Max is the producer. I'm the guy who does lots of other things. So if you want to complain about the design of the logo or any of that sort of stuff, I'm the guy you want to talk to. And a lot of the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So Joseph is sick. Diana is at the pub working, doing some research right now. She's actually working. I saw her. And Chris has been in court with a very serious case all week. So instead of going another week with not having an episode, we thought this would be a good time to sit down with all of you and just talk about what's been going on behind the scenes of the behind the scenes legal podcast with Diana and Joseph. And we're not lawyers, so we know nothing.
Furthest thing from it, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Max.
Yes,
let's
Ben.
talk. And Max, by the way, Max hates being on.
Yeah, this feels like a dream. This is really weird.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it.
All right, well, let's talk seriously. We've been doing this for some time now.
Yeah, it's been over a year. It's like a year and a half almost.
We've gotten to know Diana and Joseph and Chris really well. Yep. What are your thoughts? What's the experience been like for you? And let me hear, because we actually haven't had this conversation in depth. And I thought this might be a good time.
To be honest, it's probably the best job I've ever had. It's a great job. I love all three of them. All three of them are just hilarious, intelligent. I think what we're doing here is really important for people to see. Okay. And I think they're such great, beacons for this knowledge that people need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and you're so happy that we have infiltrated the international headquarters of Neuberger and Partners. So again, go to nrlawyers.com if you get into trouble. And hopefully you won't, and they'll get you off. They're great. I agree. I got into this by knowing Diana first. So it's through Diana that I met Joseph. And Diana and I worked on another project together, and we really jived. We became pretty good friends.
UnTrue Crime, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We became pretty good friends, and just came up with this idea. I met Joseph and thought, hey, this might work out pretty well. And I think it has.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we had met each other through the process, through a common friend of each other. And I think everything has just kind of jived and worked out well. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Unfortunately, they're not here. And I've given Joe, if you're angry that this is not Joe in the seat, believe me, I've had a talking to with Joe. And I've told him we need to record regularly. So you can send your angry tweets to Joseph as to why he didn't show up for work today, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I put down a couple of questions, things I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
All this time that this has been going on, we've been in the podcast. So in general, let's delve into this in a little more detail on your thoughts about Joseph, Diana, Chris, how they are different, that sort of thing.
Okay. Joe is just a big star, like hilarious guy. I love him so much. He's just like the perfect guy for this kind of thing. And I really love his passion. Like he's just so, he really cares. Like he really cares about his clients, and he cares about the justice system and the injustice, done to falsely accused
Is this
people.
where I plug Neuberger Partners
again?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Joseph can't complain. We're not plugging.
I'm being serious.
Yeah,
he's just a great guy. I would definitely hire him as my lawyer. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry for the plug, but I mean, for real, I would. So yeah, he's great. Diana is like extremely intelligent. She's like probably one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. Just always working. Like she's the one who puts together the ideas for the podcast. We're always, in communication about what we're going to talk about every week. Yeah. She is like I first met her actually when we were doing the stuff like a couple of years ago, and I listened to that podcast that she did on Mike Bullard, and automatically was right away. Sorry, I was like, oh my god, she's like extremely like well researched, very like articulate. Like the entire podcast series like could have been a movie. Honestly, like I was really enthralled by all of it, and it was nice to meet her too. And obviously, I found out later that she has a huge following on YouTube. She's 100,000 subscribers, and I wasn't really surprised because she's really intelligent. And then Chris. He's just like such a funny dude as well. Like I love when he shows up for the shows. He is kind of like he's more slow paced, but he kind of like grounds the two a little bit, especially with Joseph's like high energy.
You can get a good indication of how the law firm works.
Yeah. He's almost like the encyclopedia here. Like every time Diana or Joseph need something to be explained, they just ask him. But yeah, I think he's also like a great addition to the show, and all three of them are just like they meld very well together. I think the show works very well.
Yeah, I think they have amazing chemistry, which was that was very evident in the very first episode. So if you haven't watched the earlier episodes of Not on Record, they do not stale date. Pretty much, they're quite good. So I recommend everybody to go back and watch. What has surprised you most?
Actually, being like a viewer of the podcast myself, because I just have to watch it over and over again as the editor. I've learned a lot about what they're preaching, and
preaching the gospel.
Yeah, no, I think what they're talking about is really important for the average person, especially because they're defense lawyers and a lot of their clients are provably falsely accused, and it really hits home for me, being like a younger male. In the episodes 7 and 8, those are probably my two favorite when they talk about university students, and it's something that I can relate to because I've been in that setting. I've recently graduated, so it's just incredibly scary for people like around my age right now to be involved with in any relationship without really knowing the other person, because you can get totally screwed.
Have you been on the wrong side of any of these, or close to it, or have you encountered any danger?
No, but I
campus,
count my blessings, honestly, because I just hear these stories. Like I think
people who have.
No, I also don't, which is why these podcasts like hit home for me, because they, Joseph talks about, like, for instance, I think in episode 7 he was saying the guy was like a great guy, like 4.0 student. Yeah. And his whole life just got destroyed by this allegation, which was proven to be false in court. So he couldn't go to his classes and couldn't go to the gym or the library. Like he kind of just go to his class and go, or sorry, he could go to his classes and then just go home. He couldn't do any like extracurricular activities really.
What surprised me the most? We said before, I've known Diana for quite a while now. Joseph and I basically had instant chemistry, very similar, a lot of differences in worldview, but very similar approach to life. The one that really surprised me was Chris, because Chris is, for me, we had a long conversation. Our first really long conversation was about Stephen Hicks, which is a podcaster that I produce his podcast. And Stephen Hicks has taught me so much about different philosophical worldviews. There's a reason Jordan Peterson cites Stephen Hicks's work when he discusses postmodernism all the time. That's mainly Stephen's work. But Chris was so, I don't want to say open, but we have very different worldviews. There's no question. But we managed to communicate and get in sync with each other right away and find like that center ground for us to have a conversation and discuss issues that we can think completely different of, but we're both open to talking with one another, something that I think is missing in our society.
Oh, 100%.
And I love that about him. So he was very fascinated about Stephen's work, and I told him some of the stuff that Stephen's dealt with on university campuses and that sort of thing, and he was very open to listening about it. He went back and listened to a couple of episodes of Stephen's, and he said, I don't know if I agree, but I like his take, and I like to meet him someday. Like really open that way, and he's brilliant. He really is. He's quite funny. So yeah, that for me was the biggest surprise.
Well, yeah, because I think when we started the show, it was just Diana and Joseph, right? Like he kind of just came in, and he's been a very good addition.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think, but I think it also works when either it's just the two of them, or it's all three of them. There's chemistry in both respects, so I'm not terribly worried. What do you think? How about like, share, subscribe, and if you're listening on iTunes, leave us a review in iTunes. That's probably one of the most important things you can do, and give it a star rating. And Joseph, that's how you do it. He's getting so pissed at me. I love you, Joseph. Wish you were here. We'll see you in a couple of days.
Oh yeah, I'm not happy to be sitting here, to be honest.
When I called him. I'm like, hey, I have an idea. Let's do this. He's like,
I was like, man,
I don't have to do that.
Yeah, no, this is my first show. I know you're a seasoned guy on camera. Like you're on Tucker Carlson, and you do all these big wig shows, and I'm just the guy behind the camera. So
you know what's so weird? Like the first half of my life, like my parents were, let's just say they weren't into audio visual video technology. So I was the one guy in the neighborhood who my parents were, I love my parents, too cheap to buy a video recorder. So I don't have any video of me as a little kid. Like I'm not in the video so much. Like it's just, I'll go on trips and everybody will yell at me because why didn't you take some video or pictures? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't, right? And now we're thrown into this world where you and I together are dealing with video constantly. It's kind of weird. It's kind of surreal, but
yeah, I guess it's a nice little change being on camera. I don't know. I'm not going to complain. Whatever. It's a nice opportunity.
Yeah, totally. So okay, so your favorite episodes were either 7 or 8. Which
7
one?
or 8. 7, I remember, was like the first one that I watched fully through, and I was like, "This is it."
Well, you weren't watching our own episodes?
No, but like. It's really hard to pay attention when I'm the only one here and there's 3 cameras and I'm kind of like constantly checking to see if they're all recording, all that boring stuff. But yeah, like once I was able to like cut it and watch it all the way through, I was like, this is what the show is really about. Like this was just, I think it was like,
oh, that was the Anatomy of a False Accusation.
That amazing episode, and I think that was one of the first ones that did really well. Like it got 15,000 views, I think. For the right reasons, because they were just very like real and scary stories about people in, or their early 20s or late teens being falsely accused, and their whole lives are already just destroyed at such a young age.
Yeah. Do you remember what your least favorite episode is? I know what it is, but I think I know.
Well, I actually we did, if you remember, we did like a tea episode. Is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's explain it for everybody who's watching. So kind of the shtick is, the idea is they're coming down here, they're decompressing from a day or a week of the type of nonsense that lawyers deal with that the general public isn't aware of. And, I've grown up with lawyers and I have family and friends who are lawyers, so I'm a little bit more aware of what they deal with. And that was kind of the frame that we wanted to build the podcast around. And the idea was, they'll come down here, have a couple of drinks, and just kind of decompress and explain to everybody what really goes on behind the scenes. Well, that decompressing ended up being a Mickey every week or an entire bottle every week, that sort of thing.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job, and, you have a couple of drinks, you get into an emotional issue that you dealt with. That couple of drinks becomes 3 or 4, whatever. You know what? Everybody has the right to decompress as they want. And they were getting to the point, they're like, okay, we can't keep getting drunk every week. This is getting ridiculous. And whereas, you and I don't really drink, which I don't understand why you can't do this with coffee, but whatever, that's me. We thought what we would do is, okay, well, let's give them a week off from drinking. Let's just dial it back, and we'll drink. I suggested coffee, but they wouldn't be able to get to sleep. So, okay, we'll do tea. And I almost fell asleep watching it.
That one I do remember being extremely bored behind the camera. I was like, man, this is not not working.
And I think it's because it's not that any of us here are involved in the podcast are alcoholics, because we're not. But it kind of, again, the whole ambiance, the idea is this is the time to decompress. And it becomes much easier to decompress, I guess. I've never drank whiskey in my life, but if you do, I'm assuming that could just kind of helps one unload. So yeah, that was a really disappointing episode.
Yeah. So I still do have the footage though, so maybe we can do something with
Burn
it.
it.
I don't know.
Burn it. Just get rid of it, man. It was so. And I think they were also having a difficult week because I know there was a lot of stuff going on as well. So I don't know that they were in the right mindset for that, anyways. What have you learned? I mean, we know you've learned about a lot of the issues, the social issues that were happening on campuses and whatever. But what have you learned beyond that? Whether it's about production, about podcasting, about the audience that we do, because we're having regular interactions with the audience, or yourself, because you said it's the best job you've ever had. You love it, and hopefully we're going to expand it to the other podcasts on the network as we grow. But what have you taken out of all of this?
I'm starting to notice like what people want to watch, of course, like, just going through posting an episode every week, posting the shorts, like seeing which ones do well, which ones get the most engagement. And I'm starting to see, like, obviously it sounds really, like, I don't know how to say it, but like kind of annoying with the clickbaity stuff. But like when you kind of set that aside, like there's a reason why people click on videos, and that's because they actually care about what, the title says. For example, like the Johnny Depp, we did 4 episodes on Johnny Depp, and people could say like, oh, you're just using that as clickbait. But I remember Diana, yeah, but Diana had a great point in one of the episodes. I think it was like maybe the last one we did on him, was that that's how people learn about the law, and that's how people will get into the show. That's by because people cared about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So when they see the title, they'll be interested, and that'll be like the gateway for them to watch our show.
So a lesson to everybody watching: clickbait is good, and even better is clicking like, subscribe, share, all the other stuff, and that Apple Podcast review. Yeah. Or review on any platform, whatever it is. I mean, because that's how we're going to grow. I don't know. I haven't put very much in the Reddit space. I kind of got away from Reddit a couple of years ago because there was a lot of censorship of podcasts in the podcast subreddit, believe it or not.
No, I can...
But I haven't searched. I'm willing to bet at some point that these episodes have made it to Reddit. And if not, if you're on Reddit, go post them on Reddit.
Yeah, I would hope.
Not this one, though. This is just, us killing time. This is the kind of our fun. So you've learned many different things. What about the law? Have you learned anything? Has it made law more interesting for you?
Oh, yes, for sure. I love like doing research for the episodes now. Like the Deshaun Watson one. I'm a big sports guy, and I was like right up my alley. I was doing a bunch of research for that. It didn't really make it into a big episode. It was kind of like a little segment, but I did a bunch of research on like rappers like having incriminating lyrics and them being used in court. Thought that was really interesting.
I think that's one of the most important episodes that gets overlooked, that we need to get more into that. Because I think you're going to see a lot more as society goes in the direction that it is. If it doesn't reset and go more, let's say, liberal how it used to be, I think a lot of those people that do, I mean, it's art, like it or not, it's art. And people should not be prosecuted for the art that they produce. But I think we're going to be going in that direction if we're not careful.
Yeah, I would like to do an episode on that. Like that, I was really excited. We only did like 5 minutes on it, but we'll see, maybe.
You want to be in the chair talking about it?
Yeah, I could. I'm a big hip hop historian, so I could probably have some useful information to share.
Okay, fair enough. What next? How do you see all of this evolving? A vision, ideas? Because I know you're a pretty creative guy as well. You're kind of, I don't want to say you're artsy fartsy, but you're definitely more in the sort of creative space. How do you want to see this evolve? What do you think?
I would love to get guests on eventually. Like, I would love to bring people in here. I always had this idea. I think it would be interesting to have people that oppose their views come in, like maybe a prosecutor come in, and there'd be a huge battle.
A cage match.
Yeah, I don't know. No, but I'm really looking forward to the growth of the show. It's been like, getting a lot more popular over the last couple months. We've been posting more regularly. The topics have been more well researched. They're coming in more prepared. I think the dialogue is always interesting and important. And I think the messaging, especially from, when Joseph looks at the camera, he's like, you got to get this, like, please, if you're listening, like all that stuff. It's right. True. It's really important. You need to listen to what we're saying here.
And this is also not, to be very clear, like this is not politics or political worldviews. Like we all in this space have on certain issues very, very different opinions on politics. You've seen me and Joseph have not argued because we all respect each, but we have different world perspectives, and Chris and whatever. So this is not about any political perspective, that we're all kind of on the same side of, rational discourse, and that people have the right to be presumed innocent.
Yes, that was what I was just going to say. Like, that's like the main, that's just like what's been hitting home every single episode that I watch. Because they're defense lawyers and they go through a lot of, bullshit and all these, they got a lot of people that are falsely accused. And I think that's the trend that we're seeing today, is that, you're guilty until proven innocent, which is not the way that it should be.
That's right. That's right. And it's all labels and smears as well, right? So you're guilty, and if you try to defend yourself, you get slapped a label.
Yeah, something that Joe always says is like, everyone deserves due process. Like, there needs to be, there's a criminal justice system for a reason, and in a democratic society, like, everyone has a right to a fair trial. And I think that's one of the most important things that I've taken away from all of this.
There's also something that I noticed. I learned this from one of my closest friends is a lawyer. He's been a friend for 25 years almost, and he's probably my best friend. And he's an attorney in the United States. And something that me and Joseph kind of converged on, and he realized I understood. And this is for people who are watching who aren't lawyers. And all the lawyers who are watching this will probably nod their head. Lawyers, they get a bad rap. Everybody lots of people complain about lawyers. And while I understand there are certain circumstances and where there may be extenuating circumstances for frustration, I do know, and I've seen that from my friend down south. One particular case, I was in the office the day it was happening. It was during the global financial crisis, and the guy hadn't made a payment on his house for 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it was, and was in danger of foreclosure. And he owed, I don't know how much money, but he owed a lot of money. So he went and negotiated. He called the bank. He negotiated on behalf of this client. And it took him a week or so, whatever it was, back and forth, paperwork, underwritings, whatever. And he ended up saving the guy's house, helping to do some sort of refi. I mean, they have all sorts of financial instruments we don't have in Canada. It's a little bit different, right? And he said to him, it's going to cost you $40,000 tacked on to a certain part of your mortgage, whatever it was, but I've saved your house. Your kids have a place to live. Don't worry. The bank understands. We've communicated everything. Just make this minimum payment now. You got another 3 months to your next one or whatever. And the guy, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing everything you did. And then he said, do me a favor, go see my assistant, and she'll, she has a bill and whatever, and when you can settle up and all that sort of stuff. And I think the bill was something $6,000, if I'm not mistaken, which is not a terribly high legal fee for this type of practice. And for the amount of time that he put into it. It was much more than a week, I remember that. But anyways, the point is, and the guy came back into his office yelling at him. Why is so expensive? What'd you do? This is a disgrace. And I'm like, I just saved your house. What are you talking about? I got to get paid too. Oh, but it's so expensive. He's like, what should it be? $50? What do you want from me? Like, I have overhead. I have employees, whatever. And the other thing he always taught me is that lawyers can only make so much money. That's why you see all these firms, these large firms are there to scale, because a lawyer only has so many hours in a day, and which means they're capped at the amount of income that they can possibly generate. So I think it's just something to communicate to people who are watching who aren't lawyers, and the people who throw around that, all lawyers are bad. There's no question there are some bad ones, and I know a few as well. But in general, we all have certain circumstances that are affecting all of us in similar ways and putting pressures on us. So that's one thing I learned from a from my friend, and I've also spoken to Joseph, and I see they deal with it here as well. So if you can afford your case, Neuberger and Partners, nrlawyers.com. Lawyers with a Y.
We'll put it on the screen right now.
All right. Well, we're going to put it on the screen, and like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. Oh, and the other thing to communicate to everybody else, there is a Telegram chat. Joseph is sometimes in there. Not on record is the name of the Telegram chat. So it's t.me/Telegram. Not on record. I think that's what it is. We do have a locals account, and I think we've talked a little bit about that.
Getting started, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to start putting some effort into it. During this whole thing I was involved in that we will not talk about, I got to have a couple of conversations with Dave Rubin, who kind of sold me on the idea of locals and has helped out and all that sort of stuff. So I want to expand that to not on record. We've been playing with some ideas of live streaming, maybe Joseph or Diana or the two of them, periodically. So that's something that's potentially on the board of something that we're going to do.
We love the chat too, the live chat during the episodes. That's always fun.
Yes.
Diana and Joseph are usually in that, so
that's right.
You guys can communicate with them.
And Joseph loves online trolls. Right? This week he was so annoyed.
Yeah, Twitter, man.
And it's so funny because I guess he's very customer service orientated, so he's used to dealing with each individual complaint. And like Joseph, they're bots. Half of them are bots.
Yeah.
Especially the ones, you're a loser or whatever. And that's a script from a bot, right? But I think he kind of understands that now.
No, he's a good follow. Follow him on Twitter. I don't know, what's his handle? Neuberger's.
I think that one is.
Okay, we can look at this one.
Okay. What is the Twitter account?
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's NR Lawyers or NR.
Yeah, I think that might be it, actually.
Something like that at NR Lawyers.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we close up?
This is a great show. Sorry for the plug. I know I'm the producer, but I really enjoy it. I think you guys will too. I think the average person who doesn't really understand the law and the justice system, because it really impacts all of us. This one just died. It really impacts all of us. So this is just a great show for you to watch if you want to be entertained and learn about the justice system.
And I would also advise, if you have a child in university or post-secondary school education, your child needs to be aware of what's going on and that the dangers that they're potentially in. And this is a good resource for them to start with. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, anything else you want to say, or we'll shut it down?
No, take care. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, be in the live chat. We'll converse.
Oh, we have to do the whiskey thing that they do, right?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.